Good afternoon. In this video, I will be talking about Amartya Sen idea of justice. So we need to understand what do you mean by the term justice. So in the most common terms, justice is an ideal representing something that is just and right. It is basically means just, impartial, fair and right. So what is just may depend on the context, but its requirement is essential to the idea of justice. For example, the natural law school of jurisprudence believes that justice means the implementation of religious laws. On the other hand, modern jurisprudence says justice means the implementation of concepts like equality and liberty. And however, in both examples, justice means just enforcement of what law perceives to be right. In modern context, the term justice basically means the recognition and implementation of laws made by the legislature. Furthermore, in the modern context, unlike ancient state, their functions lies largely on the judicial organs. According to the Salmon, laws are the bodies of principle that tribunals recognize and apply while administrating justice. Even Roscoe Pound defined laws to means the principle that public tribunal recognize and enforce. So, therefore, justice generally means the recognition and application and enforcement of laws by the court. This is different from understanding of justice in the ancient period when it was given a religious and moralistic meaning. Niti over Nyaya, the cornerstone of Sen's idea of justice. So, it has been dealt that how Amartya Sen considered the perfect model of justice as reductant. He believed that all these transcendental system of justice are impregnated with the basic flaw that do not emphasize on reduction of justice and instead of emphasizing on the advancement of justice without taking into consideration that cruelty of the demand will not let this perfect system of justice to stand on its feet. So according to Amartya Sen, the presence of remediable injustice may be well connected and with behavioral transgressions rather than institutional shortcomings. So ultimately connected with the ways people lives go and not merely the nature of institutions surrounding them. So Professor Sen, Amartya Sen took cue of early Indian jurisprudence to shed light of the different concept of justice, niti and the nyaya. The idea of niti relates to the organizational propriety as well as the behavioral correctness, whereas the latter nyaya is concerned with what emerge and how in a particular the lives that people are actually able to lead. So in other words, it is necessary to assess the role of institution basic of fact that how much inclusiveness is reflected in them in the broader perspective of nyaya, which pertains to the world that actually emerges and not just constructed to the institution that we possesses. Amartya Sen gives an example to show the difference between niti and nyaya. And Ferdinand and I, Roman emperor in the 16th century, claimed fiat justia et paret mundus, which can be translated as let justice be done through the word perish. This is an example of an Austria from a form of niti which advocates even bringing castor off, but without considering the fact that how justice will be done if world will perish. According to Professor Sen, realization focused perspective also make it easier to understand the importance of prevention manifest injustice in the world rather than seeking perfectly just. So he further gave an example that agitation against slavery in the 18th and 19th century was not successful because they were laboring under the belief that abolition of slavery will lead to perfectly just society. It was intolerable and nausea injustice that made abolition of slavery a priority. Even through the arrangement, center perspective of niti is often interpreted in the way that the being the presence of appropriate institutions themselves advocate to satisfy the demands of justice. The broader perspective of Nyaya would indicate the necessity of examining what social realizations are actually generated through the institutional base. Such a system can help to incorporate and accommodate divergent points of view. Sen also visualized a set of principles for justice for the modern world that will avoid parallelism and address the vital questions of global justice. So, acknowledge the fact that institutions play a very important role in shaping our ability to scrutinize the values and priorities that we consider, especially through the public discussion. And democracy is such an institution which is assessed in the terms of public reasoning. An institution of democracy should be judged on the touchstone of the extent as to how different voices from diverse sections are able to put forth their voice, and the voice actually seen hard and not just about the formal existence of the institution, because a democratic institution fails to provide the representation to the people, fails to provide much needed opportunity to put forth their voice, the institution is inspired. Thank you.